Hey guys, are you guys able to finish that? Shannon, I'm trying to add
Yes.
you in the group. I'll do that in the lunchtime, okay? Because I need to log in through a different credentials because my screen is shared. I can't do that.
Okay, sure, no problem.
Are you all guys able to create that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm just randomly checking. Okay. So you guys understood how to distribute the IP addresses for the VNets and subnets, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Great. Now let's do one. Do you all know what is difference between a public address and private address? So now all the addresses that you guys are giving, the IP address you're giving, right? Is that a public? It will take it as a public address or private address? Now
Public.
you're giving some IP address, right? Is that a public IP address or a private IP address?
Click.
Okay,
The
let me.
the IP address which we gave to the VNet.
Yeah, the IP address that you're giving for VNet, okay, and for the so you're giving a range. Actually, you're not giving one IP address. You're giving range because if you create any resource in the subnet should get the IP address from that particular range, correct?
Yes, I guess that comes under private IP. There are some default private IPs which we were told in AWS. So 10 point, the one which starts with 10 point or 192 point, those come under private IPs. Hello.
Sir, you are not audible.
Hey, I'm sorry, I'm speaking on mute. Okay. Okay. So now there are two types of IP addresses. One is called as public IP address. One is called as private IP address. Now every server that you create, right? Every resource that you create, you will get one public IP address. You will get one private IP address. Can anybody tell me why you should have public as well as private IP address, both IP addresses?
Public for internet and private IP address for internet communication.
Can you please repeat that? Your voice is not clear.
So public IP address is for internet and private IP address for internal communication inside the net.
Okay. Now let us say this is cloud. Okay. Now I created 3 servers. Okay. Now this has one public private address and it has one private. Similarly, it has one private IP address, one public IP address. Now you know there is one global DNS server. Okay. Now this has all the public IP addresses. Now let's say this server wants to communicate to this one through a public IP address. Okay, let's say this is a public IP address. It wants to communicate. Now, what happens if this public IP address has to communicate to this one? Both the servers are internal, right? But if it has to communicate to public IP address, what happens? Whatever request that is happening, first it will go out of the Azure data center. It will contact a DNS server, and the DNS server will say, "Hey, the server that you're looking is there here." Then the request will come here. So then what happens? There will be huge latency. So for the internal communication, what if I have a private IP address communication? So that the communication can happen between these two private IP addresses directly. Then my network traffic will not go outside the my data center, right? So that is why we need to have one public IP address, one private IP address for every server that we create. What you said is absolutely clear. So is it clear for all of others as well how to create, what is the use of, no, it's not about how to create, what is the use of to create a public IP address and private IP address? Does that make any sense, people?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. Now the next lab is, I will not show you this, but you guys have to do it by yourself. Now last time once you created a virtual machine, it got some it has used a default VNet. Now I want you guys to create a virtual machine in the VNets that you guys have created. So then the IP, the private IP will be the range that you guys have given. I will check that private IPs. So create one virtual machine, either Windows or Linux, in the virtual network that you guys have created.
Sir,
I
in
think
which
this
subnet? Any subnet,
pardon?
right? How many machines and in which subnets?
Only one machine in any of the subnets you can choose.
Yes,
If
sir.
you have 2 subnets, in any of the subnet you can choose that.
Okay, sir.
Rahul has pinged this. No need to ping your private IP addresses, guys. I will be checking. I am checking whether you guys are correct. Let me know once everybody finish. I will check that.
Yes, sir. Done.
Done, sir.
Done, sir.
Done, sir.
You see, this is the private IP address 10.6.1.4. So you have given it as 10.6.1/24 as your subnet CADR.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you understood now. You all understood now how these VNet and subnet will work, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you all please delete those virtual machines that you guys have created?
Yes, sir.
Because all these are like charged, so it will be charged heavily if you put that there. Please delete all the virtual machines. Huh. Okay, you need to purchase one food. Great. All the virtual machines are deleted. Okay. Now, one more thing. Yesterday, we have created a blob storage, right? Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And blob storage, we have made it public, right? Guys, can you understand me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. When we created it was public, but later you asked to change the permissions and restrict it to private.
That is the file permission that I asked you to change. But I don't want anybody to access my storage account. Then what I can do, I can also put that in a subnet. How do I do that? You see here, I'm creating a storage account. So I'm giving a storage name, my account name I'm giving. Okay, I'm choosing all defaults. And you see, yesterday we didn't see this networking tab. Let's go to networking here. Now it is asking if it wants to be public or private. Let's say I'm putting it as private. Okay. Now what it is asking here, you can put it as public endpoint in a selected one also. You can put it also private. Okay. Now this cannot be accessed by anybody in this private network. I can create an endpoint here. Okay. Name, just give some random name. You see here also it is giving you, it is taking virtual network that I created. This is the network that I have created. Okay, and this is my subnet. It is choosing my subnet. So basically, if I have two subnets, I can choose any of the subnet and then click OK. Now what happens? Now if I create another virtual machine in the same server, in the same network, right? So only that virtual machine can access this. So now if I create one virtual machine in the subnet 10.0.124, only that virtual machine can access this blob storage. Nobody else can access. Right? That is how you can also put a storage also in a defined network. Alright, in a VNet, we can also bound a storage account also in a VNet or in a subnet. It is in progress. Give it a minute. Taking little time to create that. Just for a minute. Okay, that is about VNets and the subnets. You can do this lab later. Okay. Okay, now first let us create an SQL database. Okay, and then we'll discuss the theory of this SQL database. Now, what is SQL database? It is a database. If you guys know that on Azure AWS, there's a service called as RDS, right? So similarly, if you want to create a SQL kind of databases on Azure, you can create with the help of SQL database. Okay. So now there are two things. That first we'll create this SQL database and then we'll look into the theory of that. So as normally you have to select your resource group. As I told you that any resource that you create, the first thing should be there. It has to be part of a resource group. Okay. And you have to give a database name. I'm giving the database name as Satish. So now first time when there is no server, we have to create a database server. If there's a database server, the database server will be available here. You can select that. Okay. But I don't have any database. So now there are two things. One is database. There is database server. Because I don't have any database server, first time I'm creating a database server. Okay. Or else every time if you want to create a database server, you can do that. Now I need to give a login credentials for this server. Okay. I'm giving it as admin. Okay, let me give the username also my name only. That is the login, and I'll give my password. Okay, that is the password. I'll confirm the password. Okay, I cannot create this in East US. I'm selecting a different region, and then I'm clicking OK. Okay, now when we are creating a web app, it is asking how many units, right? So if you see here, it is taking 2 cores, 32 GB. If I want to change the compute and storage for these resources for this particular, I can go back here. Okay, I can look for some basic. Okay, I can so 5 GB is more, 2 GB is more than enough. I'm selecting 2 GB. Please don't select more than 2 GB, guys. Okay, and then if I go into networking, similarly like how for storage, right, we can put that in a private endpoint. So if I put that in a private endpoint, what happens? I need to select a VNet and a subnet, but as of now I'll put in a public endpoint and then create, and then create. Now a new database will be created.
Sir, here you wouldn't have been able to give the private endpoint because you selected US East 2 and the VNet is in US East 1, right?
So then I have to create a new one in that region.
VNet.
No, then I have to create a new in that particular region, ES East 2. Then only I can give it, or else I can't give it.
Okay.
It will take around 3 to 4 minutes time because it has to create the server and it has to create a database instance.
Yes, sir.
So I'm able to create this. I'm able to create this database, SQL database, right? Now, if you see here, I have a server name. Okay. Do anybody know how to connect to the SQL database? What tools that you have used uh, when you're training the
Workbench.
database? Do you know something called as workbench? Hello, guys. Do you guys know something called as workbench?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the beauty about this particular thing is that on the Azure, you can directly access the database here itself. How many of you know SQL, guys? Any of you know SQL?
Yes, sir. Have worked on it, but it it has been a quite long time
Okay.
now.
So the beauty of this Azure is that you can have the SQL query editor here itself. I can create tables here only, and then I can manipulate with the data in the console itself without working on any other tools like Workbench and all that stuff. Let it log in, give it a minute. First time, that's the reason it's taking little time to log in. One minute. There's a firewall that is stopping me to log into that. Should get the IP address of this instance. Let me log in now and check the query editor. So this login here, we have created a server, you remember? That credentials we need to give you. You see, now I'm able to log into the server editor here. So if you see here, there is no tables. It's so slow actually because we have selected the basic one. That's the reason it's very slow. Okay, one moment. So by the time this loads, can you all guys also create this? And then I'll show you how to upload a table, how to query the table. Can you please,
Yes, sir.
everybody create a database instance?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
able to create that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, guys, what we'll do, we'll take a lunch break for 1 hour. We'll come back at 2 and we'll see the rest of the services. All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Clebo. Hello, everybody. Is everybody back?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let us wait
Yes, sir.
for 2 more for others to come. So there is no tables there. I'm changing my mouse. So ideally, if you have tables, right? I don't have any tables here. You can write the query here, select star from whatever table that you want to run. You can run it. So as soon as it's run, you will see the results here, right? Oh, but as of now, we don't have tables. We can't see. I'm trying to add a table. Strangely, it's taking a lot of time.
Sir, we can create tables using query, right?
Yes, we can create tables. So you know the syntax to create a table?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good. Let me show that to you once and you can create. So it will be create. Okay, after that, can anybody tell me? Let's say I'm giving name as Satish. You said you know that, right? How do you do that?
Data
So we have
types
to give
now.
the attributes.
Yeah.
What is that?
So attributes like the fields in the table.
Let's say
Column
I'm
names
giving.
maybe.
Name,
Say,
varchar, ID number, and everything.
so what will be the data type for this?
Varchar.
Varchar.
Okay, and let's say age. What will be the data type for this?
Number.
Int.
Okay, int, sorry. SQL and MySQL are different.
Okay, let's say city. For this,
Varchar.
okay. Rahul is not able to unmute video. Why is that, Rahul?
So I think the semicolon and the last comma is not needed.
What is that?
Semicolon and the last comma is not needed. And then you can select the whole thing and then run.
Which one you're saying? This semicolon is not needed.
Yeah, yeah. And the last comma as well, the city varchar.
No, okay. It does not matter.
And then you can select the whole thing and then run.
No, I don't think it matters. Do you think that syntax matters?
Like I did it the same way, so it worked for me.
Yeah, that even though there's a comma and semicolon, it will run. No, what is the configuration that you have selected? I have selected a very minimum configuration.
Okay.
Let's run this one more time. Meanwhile, you all guys also run create one table like this because I created a low configuration. You guys also create a different configuration, right? Create a table and see it's working or not.
I chose the basic configuration only and the query ran, but I'm not able to see the table.
Refresh.
You have to refresh the screen once and then you have to go into the tables, then you can see. It would take like about 1-2 minutes time for this table to be displayed there.
Yes, after refreshing, I got it. Thanks.
No problem. For me, it is taking a lot of time. Let us just wait for 1 more minute. Meanwhile, you guys also create that. How many of you are able to create?
I'm able to.
I'm able to create.
I'm able.
Created, sir. Yes, sir. Done.
After inserting in the created table, it is showing the failed to execute query. The object name is already existed like this. Hello, sir. Hello.
You create a different name, man. Then you have to give a different name. If the object is the same name is already exists, it will not allow you to create, right?
Okay.
Okay, that is about SQL DB. How do you create? I mean, so basically again, querying the data and all. I can't teach you now. So that is again your SQL skill. So that is how you create an SQL database. And now let us see a couple of options in SQL database here. So you have options to do the replication. You can see the performance overview. Like once your your database is up, you can see how much time the CPU has taken for the query, how many queries has been run. You can see all the performance here. And if there is any recommendations based, like say you're running 100 queries, the queries are running slowly, you will get recommendations here. So you can also see the recommendations. And if you want to see the logs, you can see the logs here, what are the queries that has run. All the logs can be displayed here itself, right? And you can, the best thing is that you can query the logs into the editor, and you can query the logs as well. Okay, if you want to see, let's say for example, Sri has done how many queries, so that will be there in logs. So I can load the logs to the editor, and I can query the logs as well. That is also some one of the beautiful feature here. Okay, and you can integrate this one with something called as Power BI. Do you know what is Power BI? Power BI is a visualization tool. Like for example, let's say senior managers, CEOs, or directors, right? they will not have time to go through your numbers. So they want to visually see with help of some graphs. So what Azure has done is that they have given this Power BI tool here. So what happens, whatever data that you have in your database, you can directly integrate that Power BI and generate very good reports. Okay, that option is also there. Now there is something called as Geo Replication. You see, with one click, now where is this? This is there in East US. Now I want to replicate. So all that I need to do is that just do plus and click OK. Okay, that particular East US, it is not allowing for the replication. Let us see other one. With one click, you can replicate the database to a different location. Okay, let's say UK South. Okay, so when I want to replicate, right, on the target also I have to create server, because it requires a server on the target also. I have to create a server on the target, and then I can replicate within 2 minutes. You'll have your data center, so you'll have your database on a secondary site as well. Okay, that is also one of the beautiful feature, but I don't want to do that. It will incur additional cost. You guys can try it out. Okay, that's all about SQL database. So basically, you have a service on Azure to create a database, which is called as SQL database. The service name is SQL database. Now let us discuss something about Cosmos DB. The service name is called as Azure Cosmos DB. Now, so let's say I told you that there is different types of databases, right? Structured databases, unstructured databases, and all, correct? So now, if you have to manage NoSQL type of databases, like there are a lot of NoSQL type of databases like Cassandra, Gremlin, Table API on Azure, and you have something called as MongoDB. So if you want to manage a lot of NoSQL databases, you can use Azure Cosmos DB. Now, what is it used for? It is required for highly responsive and always online applications, right? If you want to achieve the low latency and if you want high availability, and the instance, these applications need to deploy in different data centers or close to the users, right? If you want your application to respond in real time, to do any large changes at peak hours, right? You might require this Azure Cosmos DB, which data will be available to users in milliseconds, right? Now, Azure Cosmos DB is fully managed NoSQL databases for modern app development. Now, it gives response in the best feature about Cosmos DB is it gives response in milliseconds, and you can scale that instantly, and you can still guarantee the speed. So when it says scale, you can increase the capacity. Okay. Now this is also used for business continuity solutions. Any app development, if you want to move that faster to production, right? This is one of the solutions that you can think of, and it is also backed with Azure SDKs where developers can use. Data is stored in the form of key value. The important thing that you need to understand here is that data is stored in the form of key value. Okay, let us see how to create that. Now let's go to new. Go to subscription. I'll go to RG1. I'll give new name. So if you see here, these are the databases that you can handle. These are the APIs of the databases: SQL database, Cosmos DB database, Cassandra, Gremlin, all this. Okay, you can choose anyone you want, any API that you want. All the APIs are, so Cosmos DB supports these 5 APIs. Okay, and then free tier discount if you want. Yeah, Everybody select free type is found. If you want account type production or non-production, so it is like basically to understand production or non-production. And if you want geo redundancy or not, we will enable geo redundancy in some time. And multi-region rights. Do you want to do multi-region rights or not? We'll enable that later. First, let us create a simple Cosmos DB. Create. Let me create this one more time. Why it has failed? I'm not using a free time. Here, let me create one more time. I think I have used this thing. Now let's create. Okay, got it. Somebody is already using free tier. Nitesh has already created free tier 1. That's the reason it is not allowing me. That's what I was wondering from that time. So guys, please let me show you the lab and then you guys create it. I know it's easy, but let me show you guys, okay? Now it is deploying. Now the resource is created. I can go to the resource. If somebody is trying to ask a question. So once you create a Cosmos DB, the first thing that you need to do is that you have to create a container. Okay. So in the container, you can create a database. Let me say I'll start with sample, or else you can select new container as well. Give a container name. I'll say new. Provisioning here, it can be auto scale or it can be manual. I select manual, auto scale will automatically improve. So here if you see, the units is measured in RU, that is called as a read unit. How many units that you require? Okay. Container ID, I'll select new. You have to give a partition key for the database. I'll say partition key is name. So basically this partition key will be the type of your database that you're creating. What would be the columns and all. So I'm just randomly giving the partition as a key. So I'm creating a NoSQL kind of database here. Okay, you see the new database has been created here. Okay, if you see new, you can have your items added here. Okay, you can create an item here. So I already have a couple of items. Let me add that to here. Let me open my file. Just give me 1 minute. I'm just trying to take one of my code. Okay, I can select a new item here. Let me add a new item. You see, as soon as I added item, there is some metadata that has come. So it basically identifies this metadata in the form of this this data in the form of metadata, so it will be very easy for that to query. Okay, now if I go into items, I have one item. So I have taken the partition key. What is the partition key I have taken? I've taken name as the partition key, right? So obviously whatever is the name here, it has come there, right? Now you can run queries based on this. Okay, I can just give whatever is the name of the file. I can do the queries. Okay, this is as simple as, so you can keep on adding your queries. Now then there will be some API, right? So if you have a web application or any application, you can connect this. You can connect this. You can connect this. You can connect this and Cosmos DB. So whenever there is data that is generated, it will directly fall into this Cosmos DB without your any intervention. Okay. So the first four steps that you have to remember. First thing is that you have to create a Cosmos DB based on what API that you want. Second thing is that you have to create a database, and then you have to update the items, and then you can start adding the data. So you normally, this is for lab, I have added manually, but in ideal scenarios, an API will be integrated, so data will be fallen into the Cosmos DB. It is little complicated to understand. Have you guys got an idea? I can repeat if you guys have problem understanding.
So can you
Hello
repeat
guys.
what all happened after creating the Cosmos DB?
After creating Cosmos DB, I have done two things. So Cosmos DB is just an interface for us to host different types of databases. Now I have to create a database. So I created a database. So inside a database, again, there's a logical entity called as container. So this container contains all the data. So after creating a database, I have created a container. And after creating containers, I have manually added the items. So like similarly on SQL database, we have created a table, right? First we created a database, then we created a table. So here I created a container and then added the items. So here creating a container means nothing but creating a database. Understood?
Yes, sir. And the other part where you said the data gets directly fall into the container where we are not doing any manual intervention, that part.
So normally here what happened, I manually added. So every time do you think we add this? We don't add this every time, right? So now here what happens, if you look at overview, you will get a link here. So now this link, we have to give it to the developers. So a developer, when they are developing an application, there will be a place where whatever data that is generated by the application, where it has to go, they will give this link here. So then what happens, whatever data that is generated, it directly comes and falls into this particular Cosmos DB, right? You
Okay. Yes,
understand?
sir. Yes, I got it.
Great. So I'll give you 15 minutes time. Can everybody create a database, create a container, and try to create? I'll pin that JSON form what I have. You can create. You can add one item.
So yesterday the kind of container which we created, is it the same type or
No,
is it different?
so yesterday the container that you created in blog is different. The container here we are speaking, the name, the naming convention is little different. Here the container means nothing but database.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I'll give you 15 minutes time. I have pinned this for you people, JSON format. You can also write your own. So I have given ID category name. So if you don't put the name right, you have to change your the key.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll give you 15 minutes. Please create that. Hey guys, are you all able to finish that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Hey guys, I have a small request. Okay, due to some issue at home, I might have to close this call today by 4 o'clock. Tomorrow I will take 1 hour extra. Is that okay for you people? Whatever that we have to cover 1 hour. Tomorrow I'll take like till 6:30. Is that fine with everybody?
Yes, sir.
There is
Yes,
no
sir.
problem, right?
No problem, sir.
Okay. So tomorrow we'll take a pretty long time. I'll also be like completely free. So we'll stop the session today at 4 o'clock, and tomorrow we'll take 1.5 hour extra. Whatever is till 5:30, right? We'll take till 6:30. Okay.
Sir.
Okay, sir.
Now let me explain you one more concept. Concept is called as serverless computing. So do you guys have any idea of serverless computing from your AWS Lambda?
Yes, sir.
Have you guys? So the same AWS Lambda on Azure, it is called as functions. Okay, for benefit of everybody, let me explain the concept of serverless. What is serverless? Let's say I'm purchasing a server. Okay, so let us say I'm using it for 24 hours. If $1 is cost of 1 hour, for 24 hours, it is 24 hours. But I'm not fully utilizing it for 24 hours. Maybe a request is coming, 2 minutes, the request is processed, and this is free. The server is free. Again, after 3 hours, another request is coming, another 2 minutes it is working, and again it is free. After 8 hours, another request is coming. This time this is working for 10 minutes, again it is free. So totally, how many minutes this server worked? It worked around 14 minutes. For 14 minutes, how much money I'm paying? I'm paying $24. So 24 into 60 is how many minutes? So for this number of minutes, I'm paying money, but actually I have used for how many minutes? I have used only for 14 minutes. So is there any other way I can run this computing whatever I wanted only for 14 minutes and I pay only for 14 minutes? That concept is called as serverless. Okay, serverless computing, which is in demand these days. Now, what is serverless computing? Okay, let me do this. Now, so the server, if it has to give me output, what it will do, whatever request that is coming in, this has some code in it, right? Some program. The request that comes, this code will be executed on the request and output is given, right? That is what it will be, correct? Now, what we can do is that we can tell Azure, hey, this is the code. Whenever a request comes to execute this code, you allocate one server, you put this code here and the request, give the output. Once the output is come, remove the server. Once the output comes, remove the server. So now, if they remove the server, how much time this code has done? If it is done for 2 minutes, I'll be charged only for 2 minutes. Now again, another request comes for this code. Again, a server is allocated, the code is put, output is given, and then this is removed. If let's say another request is coming, again the same process will happen. So now if this time 2 minutes, this one 2 minutes, this one 2 minutes, if it is taking 2 minutes time to run the code, overall I'll be charged only for 6 minutes, right? So now any number of requests, million numbers of requests can come, I'll be charged only for that particular time frame that I have used the resources for. All right. So this is how serverless works on Azure. It is same like how you worked on AWS Lambda on Azure. Similarly, on Azure, it is called as serverless. Now let us see how to create this serverless. It is very easy. So first thing is that I need to go to function. Select the resource group, give a name to your function app. Let's say Satish. Again, you have to mention here whether you want to publish a code in a Docker format or you want to give a code. Okay, and you have to select your run stack, any run stack, whatever version, and review and create. It's validating. Deployment is in progress. Okay, now this is created. Okay, now you can go here function X add, and you can write your code here in VS Code, okay, and then you can integrate your Visual Studio here. So what happens, whatever you integrate, write the code, right, that can be displayed, that function can work here. Okay, now I have selected not Visual Code, I have selected CMD. You can also say developing portal. Let's say I want to develop a simple developing portal, a simple HTTP trigger. Add. It is creating a HTTP trigger now. So basically, I gave you example like when some request is coming, it should allocate resources, right? So that request has to trigger. So here I'm configuring a trigger as HTTP trigger. So the trigger is created. Let us do coding test. Just test and run. Say run. You say it is connected. So that means whatever code that I have done, it has ran successfully. It's saying welcome, you are connected to the login streaming services that is there in the code. So that is why it is showing that. Okay, now I have stopped it. Have everybody understood what I'm trying to do here? Please ask me if you have a question, I can explain it again. Hello people.
So the HTTP trigger part.
So there, see now, one moment I tell you. Let's say that the code is there. So first when I'm creating a function, I have given a code. And now if this code has to run, somebody has to tell that now you have to run, right? That is nothing but a trigger. Now I configured a HTTP trigger. That means I'm getting a trigger from outside world saying that this code has to run. So now I texted this code whether it is triggering the code or not. So what code I have given? I have just given a dummy code, right? So now what happens when I go to this function app? Okay, okay, this is the trigger I configured. I want to test whether it's working or not. So once I trigger this, the code in the function when I created the code, right, the code has to run. Okay, now if you see this all, if you go through this .NET code and all, you'll understand what it is saying. It is saying HTTP trigger function processed request. Let me change this here. And put here success. Now test and run. So it is saying name, so I'll give the name as name Satish. Run. It's saying connected. You see, it is saying that programmatically it has called an API. Once default timeout is for 2 hours, so for till 2 hours it will keep running. Okay, and then it is showing that HTTP trigger successfully executed, succeeded. So now because it is a dummy code, it is not giving us any output. So if we have written a code like this, as soon as some trigger happens, it has to create some virtual machine. It will create a virtual machine automatically if it is there in the code. But this code is just showing us, hey, the trigger what you have done, it is successful. That is the basic code.
Okay, sir.
Let us create one more type of trigger. This is the HTTP trigger, right? Let's go here, functions, add, develop in portal. Now there are a lot of types of triggers. We can do a trigger from, you see there are a lot of options here. From timer trigger, you can set a timer. So that means every 1 hour this function has to automatically trigger. Okay, code and test. I'm not doing any coding here. I'm just using the default code which is there. This timer trigger, what it will do? If you set this, every 10 minutes the code has to run. Every 10 minutes the code will run. Test, run. It's connected and it is done. Okay, this is also for every 2 hours this code will run. If you want, we can change that. That is what a trigger, time trigger is. All right. So there are different types of triggers. Just explore that options when you get time. What types of triggers you have, how you can all execute that. But as of now, just try to create one HTTP trigger and one function, one time trigger. Create a function app, one HTTP trigger and one time trigger. Okay, please do these two things. Have you all understood? Any other questions on this topic? Functions. It is basically a serverless concept where you are writing a code for your function app to run. Simple. Hello guys. Nitish,
Yes, yes, sir, understood.
Tiwari, P.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay, please create that. How many of you finished?
Sir,
Both
done.
the
Done, sir.
Done, sir.
Done, sir.
Sir.
everybody is able to create a trigger, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, we
Now,
have to use code editor to run the code.
what? So that is also
Uh,
one way of doing it. There are multiple ways how you can develop this code. One is in the portal itself. One is in the any editor. You can also do that. It depends how you want to do that. Multiple options Azure has given you. Okay.
okay, sir.
Okay. Now, so do you guys know? Have you heard any term like data lake?
No.
Any-
No, sir.
So data lake is something where you can put any type of your data, your structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data, any type of data you can put in the data lake and start querying it. It is used in the analytics world. So I'm going to show you how to create a data lake. It is very similar to how to you create a storage account, but only one difference is there. Let me show you that. So I'm going to storage account, going to networking, data protection options, go to advanced, and you see there is something called as data lake generation 2. Enable this and then create. So now whatever storage account that you're creating, that is nothing but a data lake on Azure. So somebody tells that a data lake, this is how you create data lake on Azure. So what is the purpose of data lake? So you can store data and start querying that immediately. Right? If you want to query the data, if you want to use the data for analytics purpose, you can put on a data lake. You can store and analyze millions and trillions of data. Okay, and the cost for analyzing the data is very less. And obviously there is security. Anyways, the normal storage account security is applicable for this. And you can debug or optimize your big data problems by using a data lake. So under data lake, you can use your SQL, you can use your Spark queries, you can use your Hadoop queries, anything you can use, and it is data is stored kind of a web HDFS. It can be unstructured data, it can be semi-structured, it can be structured. Any type of data, you can run the queries. That is simply about data lake. Is that clear? I'm not going into depth. I'm just giving you an overview of what data lake is. Did you get kind of little idea?
Yes, sir.
So
You
it is
see,
kind of a data warehouse. No?
exactly. It is a data warehouse, kind of a data warehouse. You're right, where you can create one big data. Like so, traditionally, if you create your Hadoop clusters, right, on premises, there's something called as Hadoop clusters. So that is called as EDL, Enterprise Data Lake. So if you want to create an enterprise data lake on cloud on Azure, you can create by using Azure Data Lake with the help of storage account. That is nothing but Azure Data Lake. Okay. Now, guys, I will
Got
show
it.
you some documents that you have to. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Somebody is asking a question. Guys, I want you to go ahead with this links here. I'll share you this link. Okay, if you have any question, right, after going through these links, I mean, try to finish at least chapter 1 and chapter 2 today. These are very simple modules, so that if you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay, so it will decide this same because this is the you guys have to take examination, right? So I'm covering some concepts in depth, but if you want to see some of the basic things, right, you can go there and see. And if you have any questions, you can ask me anytime. After the class, I'll share you my email credentials. Anytime you have a question, you can mail it to me. Okay, okay guys.
Okay, sir.
Okay, that's the link. Try to finish at least 1 or 2 chapters today, because I also have to give the feedback of each one of you to your management. Okay, and what is the next service? Let us go to the portal. So we finished data lake, Cosmos DB, SQL database. We finished web app today. So web app and mobile app, there is different ways of creating it before. Now the same web app also acts like mobile app. Okay, there is no difference. Databases, we finished with SQL database, that is enough there. Let's go to users. Now, if you I already showed you, right? If you want to add any user, you go to users, create a new user. Okay, if you want to invite multiple users at the same time, this is how you do. You have to give a name, some X. Okay, you have to give in some email name and password. You can see the password and create users. If you want to create users for your account, this is how you create users. If you want to reset anybody's password, password reset. It's a self-service portal. You can create a, you can reset the passwords. Okay. And then I want to show you something where to give privileges. Let's go to Azure Active Directory. Just give me one moment, people. So this subscription here, so this is a paid subscription, right? You have, so whatever subscription is there, first you need to go to your subscription and go to access control. Okay, now I have given everybody access control yesterday, so I have not given to what is his name who just joined today, Sanal, right? Sanal. So I have not given Sanal, just to show you guys. Sanal, are you there? Sanal?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, channel. Now this is how I'm showing you how to give access to the subscription. So once you go
So,
to the subscriptions, there is something called as IAM. So now add role assignments. So you will see everybody who is part of this one. Now I'm giving a role of, there are different roles I can give. I can give owner, contributor, reader, right? There are different roles I can give. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a owner access to channel. So all I need to do is that I have created his account for him, select him, channel, and then save. So now channel is also will also get access to use this subscription. Till now, channel was not able to use the subscription. Channel, now can you please log in and check whether you are getting access to this pay as you go subscription?
yes, yes, let
Morning
me
you
get.
told you don't have access, right?
Yes, yes. Let me just check.
Yeah, please check. I have not given you in the afternoon to make sure that I can also show that to this people. This is one way to give access to the portal. This option is not there in AWS. AWS is a different way you create user and the two different assignments. There you have to give IAM role to the users, but here you can give owner access.
Yes, Satish, now I'm able to access it.
Now you are able to access it, right? If you want to see
Yes, yes.
the role assignments, whose role is what here, right? If you
Right,
want to
right.
see what all roles are there, you can see the roles also here. So
Okay.
now I want you guys to create one username. You guys must have 2 or 3 email IDs, right? Create one user with another email ID of yours and go back to the subscription and go to pay as you go and add that user to the owner and log in and check whether that particular user got access or not. Okay, this will take around 10 to 15 minutes time. You guys please finish it, okay?
Okay, sir. Sir, it is not allowing me to add new user.
Hello?
Okay. Rahul is not able to create a new user. Anybody else is getting the same problem? Rahul, try one more time. Why you're not able to create user? What is the issue that you're getting?
Sir, new user is not clickable. Only new guest is clickable.
So when you see here, this one is not highlighted for you.
Yes, sir. For me as well.
Yes, sir.
For everybody.
Yes, sir.
Only Shri
Sir,
is
I
able
was
to
able to
make it.
create.
Yes.
Huh? Yeah, Srishel is able to create. For who else this error is coming?
Kajal.
For me, sir.
Kajal, can you share me?
Shraddha.
I'll make you the presenter, Kajal, sharing your screen.
Visible, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this option is not.
One moment. Okay. One moment. I'm giving additional privileges. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah. Kajal, can you reload the screen?
Sorry,
Reload the screen.
I'm not able to hear you clearly. You want the
Reload the
screenshot?
reload the
Reload
screen.
the entire. The same thing.
Okay, I have elevated your permissions. Can you reload that one more time? Can you please go to home screen
Home
and
screen.
come back to the screen again?
No, sir, the same thing.
Still the same issue. Sushil, can you please share me your screen? Why she's not able to do that? Kajal, can you make Sushil as the presenter?
Sushil.
Srish,
Srishil. Okay. Sorry.
sorry, I'm sorry. Only Srishal is able to do that, right? Anybody else is able to do that?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, just give me 1 minute, people. Let me see what permissions I have given for Srishal. Okay, Srishal, I'll show
Yes,
you
sir.
people who are not able to create. Can you give me access to? Can you make me presenter?
Make you the presenter, right? Okay.
Okay, now let's see if I go here. Srishal, what permissions he has?
So this is the account which I created.
Oh, okay, sorry. For the second one, right?
Yeah.
This is the first one, correct?
Yes.
Once I go to the assigned roles, right? I have assigned him all these roles. Okay, that is the reason he is able to do that. For others, I have not assigned. So can you do one thing? Can create and manage all aspects. Can create and so this one all I have to add manually. So if I go to other users, right? Let's say let me go to Sanel. Assigned roles. See, I have not assigned him any special roles. That's the reason he's not able to create. Okay. So basically, you need to assign the roles for each and every individual. Then you'll be able to do that. So Shah, now I have given you the access. Can you please assign them all the roles one by one? Now let's say how to do that. Let me show you once. So go to Sanel. Okay. Go to assigned roles. Add assignment. Okay. You select all these roles one by one. Okay. Select the roles and
Yes, sir.
click on add. Then they will be part of this. Then you all will get this access. It's basically issue with the access. That is the reason you're not able to do that. No problem. What I'll do, it's okay, Sushil, Srish, what do you do? No need
Yes,
you
sir.
to do that. I will do that for everybody at once. Then maybe tomorrow, once we start, you can do that. All right. But you understood the concept, right? How we have to
Okay,
give
sir.
access to the users.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, guys. I don't want to take a new topic now. Let's call it a day for today, and then tomorrow we'll start. We'll take extra time tomorrow. All right.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
All right. Have a good time. Take care.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.